In the stillness of the night, when the world quiets and only the river remembers. Tonight, we journey back to the year was 939, to the banks of the Bach Dang River, where the tide turned not just against invading ships, but against 1,000 years of domination. This is the story of Ngo Quyen, a man who had no castle, no imperial bloodline, but possessed the wisdom of the tides and the courage of a free soul. Let the sound of water guide you. Let history speak through the silence. Close your eyes and listen to the legend of the Battle of Bach Dang, the battle that carved freedom into the heart of Vietnam. Shadows from the north and the sun of the south. Night falls over the land of ancient Giao Châu. A thin layer of mist hovers above the Red River. Far away, in the fading echoes of the mountains, drums have gone silent. But deep in the earth, something stirs. For 1,000 years, this land bowed its head beneath the boots of invaders. Dynasty after dynasty came from the north, dictating laws, rewriting names, calling our people Mandi, barbarians from the southern frontier. But they did not know that under each rice stalk, beneath every footstep on this soil, was a silent fire, smoldering. And on this night in the year 938, that fire would rise into flames. The man who would change history. His name was Ngo Quyen, a man born not into royalty, but into a time of chaos. A general with sharp eyes, deep thoughts, and a heart that refused to kneel. He had once served under Dung Dinh, a warrior who brought peace to Giao Châu. But Dung was betrayed, stabbed in the back by Ngo Quyen, a coward drunk with power. And what did Ngo do next? He bowed to the north. He sent word to the king of Nam Han, asking for aid, inviting an army of foreign soldiers to tread on Vietnamese soil. That was when Ngo Quyen rose. Not for fame, not for wealth, but for justice, for loyalty, for a promise made to a mentor long gone. And above all, for a people who had suffered for two, the North comes again. From the sea, the tide brought more than waves. It brought warships. Thousands of armored men from the Nam Han kingdom, led by Prince Lu Hongtao, intent on reclaiming Giao Châu. But they did not know that the river had chosen its defender. Whispers among the reeds. Ngo Quyen did not panic. He did not rally with rage. He listened to the flow of water, to the whispers of elders, to the wisdom of this land. And he said, "The tides shall be our army. The river shall be our sword, and the hearts of the people shall be our shield." He ordered thousands of wooden stakes, each sharpened to a deadly point, to be driven deep into the riverbed of Bach Dang River, hidden beneath the water, waiting. He chose patience over fury, strategy over brute force. And as the northern fleet approached, Ngo Quyen waited, not at the gate, but in the rhythm of the tides. The year was 939. The waters of the Bach Dang River flowed calmly, as if nothing were amiss, but beneath that calm surface, rows of wooden stakes, sharpened like fangs, silent like shadows, lay hidden in wait. Each one had been hammered into the muddy riverbed by the hands of Vietnamese villagers and soldiers. Each one a quiet vow. You may come, but you will not return. The enemy arrives. From the sea, Lu Hongtao sailed in with pride. The Prince of Nam Han, arrogant and confident, commanded hundreds of warships, soldiers in shining armor, all believing that conquest was certain. They laughed at the silence. They saw no fortress, no walls, only a wide-out, slow river and a handful of enemy boats waiting. What they didn't see was a trap disguised as stillness. The tide turned. Ngo Quyen watched from the riverbank. He knew the river's rhythm better than any admiral. He had timed everything to the fall of the tide. As the enemy ships moved deeper into the river, Ngo Quyen let them pass, let them sail over the hidden stakes, let them mock and celebrate too soon. And then he struck. Drums beat across the river. War horns echoed between the cliffs. Vietnamese boats charged forward with precision, speed, and fury. Lu Hongtao realized too late the tide was receding. The water lowered. And then the stakes rose. Massive warships crashed into them, breaking apart like dry wood. Soldiers were thrown into the river, trampled by waves and pierced by bamboo. Panic spread. Some tried to flee, but the water turned red with their failure. A battle won without a fortress. Ngo Quyen didn't just win. He shattered 1,000 years of fear. He defeated the North not with numbers, but with brilliance, patience, and the spirit of a people who refused to bow. On that day, the river itself became a warrior. On that day, Vietnam stood tall, unbroken. Blood flows back to the sea. The smoke had barely lifted from the shattered decks, yet the Bach Dang River had already begun to wash it all away. The wrecked ships, the broken armor, the blood of invaders spilled into her veins. This river, once a quiet witness of oppression, now became the stage of Vietnam's most brilliant victory. The body of Lu Hong Thao, Crown Prince of Nam Han, was dragged from the water. Lifeless, his royal insignia broken, his sword sunk beneath the silt. He had come to claim a land, but was claimed by its river. The cry reaches the north. Far to the north, in the palace of Nam Han, Emperor Lu Kung received the news in horror. My son is gone. He had hoped for triumph. He received ruin. In his grief, he broke down, refusing to speak for days, refusing to eat. He could not comprehend it. A single Vietnamese general, Ngo Quyen, had crushed the best of Nam Han's navy, without a fortress, without a walled city, only with the wisdom of water and the courage of a people. The dreams of reclaiming Giao Châu died with his son. Nam Han would never again send troops to invade. The people rejoice. Across Vietland, word spread like the wind. Villagers came to the riverbanks to weep and to pray, not in mourning, but in reverence. For the first time in centuries, there was no foreign army marching under the southern skies. The old bowed to the earth in gratitude. The young learned the name Ngo Quyen by heart. Mothers sang it into lullabies. Scribes etched it into bamboo scrolls. This was not just a battle won. It was 1,000 years of pain ending in a single morning tide. A new chapter begins. With the North retreating in silence and the South rising in voice, Ngo Quyen knew what must be done. There could be no more puppet kings, no more false thrones dictated by foreign hands. In the wake of victory, in the eyes of the people, Ngo Quyen was no longer just a general. He was the rightful king. And in the next chapter he would rise, not just on a battlefield, but onto the throne of a free Vietnam. The throne and the oath to the mountains and rivers. The battlefield had grown quiet. The river no longer roared but hummed softly, as if singing an ancient lullaby to those who had fallen and those who would rise. In the hearts of the people, there was no more doubt. Ngo Quyen had not only defended the land, he had awakened a nation. From farmers to monks, from elders to soldiers, voices rose in unity. We do not need kings from the north. We have our own, a crown without chains. In the winter of 938, as mist clung to the rice fields, Ngo Quyen ascended the throne. But there was no gold-covered palace, no foreign rituals, no borrowed titles. Instead, he stood atop a stone platform beside the Red River, his sword planted in the soil, his voice calm but firm. This land has bled for freedom. From today, no throne shall be chosen from fear. We are Dai Viet, we kneel to no one. He declared himself king of a free country, the first true native ruler of Vietnam after over a millennium of Chinese domination. It was not just a coronation, it was a declaration. The tides had turned, not just in the river, but in the soul of a nation. A new era begins. Ngo Quyen moved the capital to Co Loa, the ancient seat of Vietnamese kings, to reclaim what had once been ours. He rebuilt what war had broken. He reformed laws, respected scholars, and restored temples. He invited the elders of every region to speak, not as subjects, but as voices of the land. His rule was firm but fair. His court wore no chains of foreign gold. His banners carried no borrowed dragon, only the spirit of Viet rising with the wind. Toward the end of his reign, Ngo Quyen returned one last time to the banks of Bach Dang River. He stood where the water had turned red that morning and bowed low to the waves. You have fought beside me, river of our ancestors. If I must fall one day, may the next generation rise stronger. As long as this river flows, let this land be free. Then he turned away, not as a war hero, but as a father of independence. A name that echoes in the tides. Ngo Quyen passed away in 944, but his name has never faded. It flows with every tide on Bach Dang. It echoes in every Vietnamese heart. Because in one moment of brilliance, with nothing but bamboo, courage, and the tide itself, he ended 1,000 years of foreign rule and opened a new path for a people once shackled. So when the river glistens at dusk and the wind rustles the reeds, listen closely. You may still hear his vow rising with the waters. This land is ours. As the river returned to calm, the dawn of a new nation rose with it. Ngo Quyen's name flowed into the future like the tides of the Bach Dang, whispered by winds, remembered by waters, etched into every heart that longs for freedom. His victory was not just military, it was spiritual, a vow carried forward for generations. So tonight, as you drift into sleep under the quiet sky, may you carry with you the strength of that river, the stillness of that king, and the dream of a land that refused to kneel. Thank you for listening to this midnight tale. Subscribe for more whispered stories from Vietnam's soul.